our government, the bankers, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
We're going to do a tour of the banksters. So once we hit the Bank of the America, we're going to head west and hit Chase. Then we're going to march down to the Riverwalk Amphitheater.
We all know that the state attorneys general have been trying to make a deal with the banks to give them immunity for cash. So in the foreclosure matters and the criminal acts they've provided and performed. So according to this, the deal which Iowa Attorney General Miller has been trying to negotiate since March would release the 5 servicers: Ally Financial, which is GMAC, Bank of America, Citigroup, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo from legal claims on past home loan servicing and foreclosures. The deal would not prohibit individuals from suing the banks or government prosecutors from suing banks over issues related to the packaging of home loans into mortgage-backed securities. So what this does is it takes away my right to sue GMAC for their criminal and fraudulent acts in my mortgage and foreclosure. And how can somebody take my right away like that? So I'm suggesting that we all call Attorney General Madigan, Lisa Madigan here in Illinois, who is neck and neck in these negotiations with her counterpart there in Iowa with giving this immunity and working against the people's interest here in Illinois. Comments?
There are at least 3 attorneys general that are refusing to settle. One is Kamala Davis of California, one is Eric Schneiderman of New York, the other one is the Attorney General of Nevada. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. But if you want to send them an email saying we support the fact that you are not settling, they will respond back to you and they will say we don't want to settle. So there are people who do not want to settle this. Has anybody heard about the Defense Authorization Act?
Yes.
Okay, there's a provision in there that says you can detain anybody without trial indefinitely, including American citizens. In fact, they even said American citizens especially. There is an amendment that Mark Udall of Colorado introduced to take that out. It was defeated. The Authorization Act was passed 93-7. I think Mark Kirk actually voted against it. I don't know how anybody voted. I haven't been able to find the roster, but in addition to looking at what's going on with corporate finance, what's going on with elections and public and private money, we should also pay attention to the fact that for all the bluster that's been made about constitutional rights, now they've actually created legislation that violates the Constitution. Indefinite detainment without trial. Our elected representatives need to know we don't like that. Now, Obama has promised to veto that when it gets to his desk. I don't know when that's going to be, but he should hear about it, and your elected officials should hear about it. So tell them, you can't violate the Constitution like that. You cannot create legislation that violates the Constitution like that. You cannot go on your stump and talk about the Founding Fathers and vote for legislation like that. So make sure you know what your elected representatives have to say about it and call them on it.
Okay.
What?
Comments?
Yeah,
Lauren?
I have one too.
Okay. What I've heard, there's much misinformation about this. Now, if what I'm hearing at 8:20 a.m. is true or not, Section 1831, 1832 actually say that this is not what they're doing. Many people have been totally up in arms about this, so it needs further investigation on all our parts. So please, everyone, look at it before we overreact to something because they're saying it's not true.
Occupy movement is about the financial inequality in this world, in this country, and the world too, and how it got that way. And as an Occupy group, we have decided to support those organizations, or at least 2 organizations in DuPage County that help to give food and shelter to the very bottom. And so we have a food drive at Washington and Ogden every Saturday morning at 10. And if you just come here, bring your food here. We'll take it next week. But we also are supporting P.A.D.S, Public Action to Deliver Shelter, an organization since 1985 that people are homeless. They need a place to sleep. It helps provide that network. And our group has asked last week, took a consensus here of the General Assembly, and the Assembly said, yes, we want to financially support P.A.D.S, and so the facilitators have decided to donate $50 of every 300 we collect will go to the transportation funded P.A.D.S. We've also decided that we would like to volunteer there as a group, as individuals, same, we're with Occupy Naperville.
We got 111 pounds delivered to Loaves and Fishes this morning. That's for our 4th week, and that puts us over 600 pounds of food to deliver so far. Okay, thanks, folks.
The discussion that you were having about the latest of what's going on is something that I do. Carol asked me to talk about the email I send out at 6 o'clock every morning. Goes out blind copy so nobody else sees your email address. But what it says at the top, better informed, better decisions. But the purpose is for people to know what the issues really are. I look at the best kind of blogs that are taking an issue and really giving good information on it. I also do cover what the media says about it. And it's fresh because I spend most of the time putting it together between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. It really is helpful. I know so much more than I ever would if I didn't start this 3 years ago. And if you care about knowing, not by telling you, but other people telling you so you can make your own decision as to what you think about the issue, that's better informed, better decisions. I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm not trying to tell you what you should believe. And I don't care what the party is or who says what. I've always learned my whole life to make my own decision about things. And I'm trying to help other people make their own decision for themselves, because then they really believe in what they're doing.
We have different things at GA, different things that we're passionate about, from legalization of marijuana to Medicare, Social Security. I just want to remind everyone that I think the biggest thing that we need to be focusing on in order for our voices to be heard on anything that we believe in is getting corporate money out of politics. Because until the politicians start listening to what we're saying, it doesn't matter what we're saying. That's pretty much it.
Yesterday, Bernie Sanders went in front of the Senate, and he actually brought a bill that is currently being voted on at some point. I don't know the exact detail when, but it is to remove corporate money from and amend the Constitution. So there's a lot of debate about how successful or how broad scope it'll be, but again, it's something we should probably look into.
We're open to any and all ideas about, if you've got any leads at any universities within, I'd say, 15, 20 miles of here, we're willing to travel, and we're trying to put together like a one-time informational meeting at any university that's willing to at least host us and give us that opportunity. Any ideas are welcome as far as us putting together something that we hope to excite students enough to start their own groups on some of these campuses.
I bring very important news. There's actually breaking news out of Wall Street Occupy that the media doesn't even have a handle on yet. And I tripped across it serendipitously yesterday by watching my taped version of Oberman on current TV the other night. And there was an ad that was on there, if any of you saw it. And on the bottom of the ad, which was very to the point and very simple, was a .gov called the 99declaration.gov. We've kind of seen Occupy right now as a movement in protest. In other words, get the people in the seats, get them demonstrating to the point where the United States understands that there's this group called Occupy that's starting to make some racket and scare some people. What we were missing was the impetus of a solution to solve the problems we've been complaining about. Well, it looks like Occupy Wall Street, through one of their committees through the GA, has done what I think is an absolutely brilliant first iteration of a solution. Actually contained the framework of an environment with 23 points that at this point in time I'll call a manifesto, that becomes the basis for evaluation by all of us over the next 6 months, leading to a General Assembly meeting with 900 delegates in Philadelphia on July 4th. And it's a very, very, very important breakthrough for my money.
I was doing a little bit of research on the internet, and we have joined a directory of Occupy groups on a website called Occupy Together. And if you go to Occupy Together, they have links to something, a section that is called How to Occupy. And there's a wealth of great educational information in those links. And in the future, my understanding is our facilitators group will be bringing to you, the assembly, more statements from our group for you to review and consider as to what it is we want to be about.
I'm speaking now about unemployment. Two things: the House Republicans and basically all the Republicans are promoting knocking something like 40 weeks off of the extended federal unemployment benefits, which would not leave very much left for people. It drops it from 99 weeks to 59 weeks in those states like Illinois. And just this morning on the way here on Progressive Radio, I heard that they are tying their approval for the payroll tax cut and the unemployment extension to the pipeline. So they're tying their approval for the extensions to the passing of the Keystone Pipeline approval.